Let's go. Welcome to WarCrafters for August 17th, 2025. This is a Time Machine episode, Season 2, Episode 33. I am MayorWatt. I run ohmTown.com, and today we're going to be talking about Instruments of Power. Black Myth Wukong was the start. Story-driven VR shooter, Astrofel, and Western Souls-like. Dun, dun, dun. Everything is powered by ohmTown.com. Go over there, sign up, sign in, check it out. There's no fee, there's no advertising, no tracking, no nothing. Go and check it out. We hope you enjoy the show. We're talking about gaming. All right, folks, let's get into it. A tactical spellcrafting RPG, Instruments of Power, has been announced. Developer Iron Loop Games has announced Instruments of Power, a turn-based tactical RPG where players craft spells. The game's planned release is via Steam in 2026. It's a dark fantasy world overrun by mysterious shadows. Players control a disembodied mage who lost her form upon making a huge discovery, and they must fight back against the shadows using catalysts, effects, and modifiers to craft their own spells. This sounds amazing, except that it's not my style of game because it's a tactical. I like really first-person survival, base-building, crafting games. But this actually sounds really neat. I would love... Oh, there's not that much more over at the article. But anyway, the article was put together by rpgamer.com. Alex Fuller put the article together. Go and check it out. There's some pictures. I won't go through them all, but it is a tactical, which... turn-based games really aren't my thing, but I love the artwork. I love the audio. I love the world building, that kind of thing. Still kind of makes me, I don't know, it makes me want to play the games, but I just can't focus enough to play these kind of games. All right, well, that's it. Let's move on to the next article. It's over at WarCrafters as well. After flying around the world to play their most anticipated action RPG, they're convinced Black Myth Wukong was just an opening salvo for big-budget Chinese games. PC Gamer once declared virtual toilets the secret to understanding the unspoken priorities of a game and the people making it, but they'd argue virtual ladders have even more to say. If you approach from the top, does it wrest away control or let you wildly coyote yourself right off the ledge? Does the game give you a button to slide down like an action hero with the back of the ladder let you climb until you bonk your head, or automatically swing you around to the front, or refuse admittance altogether? All these things say something about the game. Wes Fenlon put the article together for PC Gamer. The deck statement says, here's why Phantom Blade Zero is the real deal. And if it would have been two E's in there, real deal, then it would have been a fishing game and I'd be happy. All these things say something about the character you're controlling and how clumsy or empowered the game makers want you to feel when you press some buttons, which is why they immediately noticed that the protagonist of Kung Fu Punk action game Phantom Blade Zero, is that like Zenless Zone Zero or whatever it is? Anyway, doesn't really respect ladders as like a concept, it says. By the time Soul leaps onto one, he's already halfway to the top, and instead of using the rungs to climb up, he springs upward, barely touching every fourth step. The game doesn't even bother with a climbing down animation. Soul cartwheels off the ledge onto a ladder slide and holds on with one hand, then flops off a few rungs above the ground to showboat a bit more. So, yeah, I mean, this is just awesome. It just looks like they're sliding down it. Now, if that was a wooden ladder, my hand would be filled with splinters. And I would not be a happy soul. Get it? Because it's... Anyway. So they say a 90-minute demo, which they played through 4 times, each faster than the last. Unfortunately, only laid bare a sliver of Phantom Blade Zero's world, but that was still enough to strengthen their conviction that this game they wanted last year's Black Myth Wukong to be, with a full adventure backing up sword play that absolutely rips. Now, I want base building survival crafting stuff in a world like Black Myth Wukong. Or in this. I don't know if this is going to have that kind of stuff. Phantom Blade Zero, I think, would be... that's what I'm looking for. I want a never-ending world building, survival crafting, base building kind of a thing. That's my forever game. So and I want it multiplayer, co-op, maybe PvP if you flag up, that kind of a thing. We were really close with it with ArcAge, kind of a thing, but then ArcAge shit the bed. So let's keep going. The next article is over on RealityHacker. Story-driven VR shooter of Lies and Rain, early access release date confirmed for September. Following the recent release of its demo earlier this year, a new trailer for Of Lies and Rain confirms a September 10th release date for an early access version of the game. The game is set to launch on all major platforms: Quest, PC VR, PSVR 2. But yeah, it's a story-driven VR game of Lies and Rain. I haven't seen much about it. I would love to do some VR streaming, but again, just haven't been able to. I've kind of made promises and broken them, so I'm not going to promise. But the article is over at roadtovr.com. Ben Lang put the article together. There isn't much more to the article, but there is a video embedded in the website, so go over and check it all out. September 10th release date of Lies and Rain. It's a VR shooter game, story-based VR shooter game. So I don't know if it's going to be on Rails or what, but we'll see. The next article is over in Tabletop Nights, which is a late night kind of game show, not game show, but show about gaming, tabletop gaming. I call it Knights of the Kitchen Table, a netcast, old school term, dedicated to tabletop gaming. Like Dungeons and Dragons and so on. So, third-person action RPG Astrofel announced for PC, inspired by 2000s era classics. So, 20 years ago, if a German indie studio is making an action RPG inspired by 2000 era classics, you can bet that Gothic is sure to be mentioned at least once. In this article, it's over at rpgsite.net. Adam Vitale put the article together. It's called Astrofel. There is a trailer that's embedded in this. It says 3 factions, a nation divided. Astrofel is a third-person, single-player action RPG that takes inspiration from early 2000 RPGs. Besieged by conflict, the king's magical minds have stirred up mutant terrors and roused an ancient god from its slumber. They've dug too deep. Nature and magic have become erratic, and dead things crawl out of their graves to wreak havoc. An intense, in-depth combat system allows you to wield swords, bows, magical runes to cast spells, whether up close or afar, tackle fights your way, mix up your playstyle, etc. Seems like it might be fun. We'll be taking a look at it for sure. Astrofel. Dun, dun, dun. The next article is over in Tabletop Nights as well. 2D Western Souls-like action RPG Tomb Water showcases its weapons, skills, and charms in a new trailer. It's a publisher, Midwest Games, and developer Max Moraz of Moth Atlas show the weapons, skills, and charms of Tomb Water. The article is over at rpgsite.net. Mikhail Madnani put the article together. The trailer goes over firearms, melee weapons, charms, which they spelled wrong on the article, but okay. The spells to showcase all the tools players will use to progress through Tomb Water's map, and you can currently wishlist it on Steam. I'm going to pull up Steam real quick while we're doing it live, folks. We are doing everything live, as a matter of fact. I'm not even stopping the stream, and when I'm done with the stream, we're going to flip over to the always on stream, which is basically the last 2 weeks of shows, including 2 weekends of our 6 weekly shows, of which WarCrafters is one of the Sunday shows. Okay, 1 second. Tomb Water, right? I think I've got this already in my wish list. Yep, it is. Cool. It says it's to be announced, but do they have an actual date? Or is it just a teaser to be a teaser? Yeah, they posted a bunch of stuff. Firearms include oil sprayer, Edison cannon, Gatling gun, Rattler, infernal shotgun, fires a bunch of shells. Pretty cool idea. Yeah, it's actually been on my wish list for a while. So we're going to wait for it, and then we'll be playing it. Yeehaw! But that's it, folks. That's it for WarCrafters. 5 articles that we talk about, typically in about 15 minutes or so, 15 to 20, maybe 30 minutes. Our longer shows are an hour long, Monday through Friday, typically at around 8 o'clock, but I'm running behind on everything, so I'm trying to do the weekly shows that should have been done on Saturday and Sunday because I'm no longer available on Saturdays and Sundays typically due to my mayoral duties. So see you in a little bit. All I'm going to do is play the outro and stop the recording and restart, and we'll go on to Technology Today. So see you in a little bit. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Technology Today for August 17th, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 33. I am MayorWatt. I run ohmTown.com, and you're watching Technology Today. Today, we're going to be talking about our brains contain lithium, alternative carbon carrier, a tiny brain grown in a lab, not mine. It's much tinier. Can't be used for science. Tackling machine learning's black box, and parasitic worms in Chesapeake Bay to solve a problem. That and more. Hope you enjoy the show. It's a deeper look at science and technology. I don't know how deep I'll be able to go today, though. So, this is a time machine episode. See you soon. Everything's powered by ohmTown.com. Go check it out. It's a news aggregator that helps me manage my information overload. All right, let's get going. This first article says that our brains contain lithium and its loss might help drive Alzheimer's, according to a study. Ed Cara over at Gizmodo put this article together. The deck statement says researchers have found evidence in mice and human brains that the element lithium could be key to a healthy brain. Yeah, possibly. Scientists at Harvard Medical School led the study, published Wednesday in Nature, by studying human brain samples in mice. They found evidence that our brains naturally contain the element lithium and that its deficiency can help explain the damage caused by Alzheimer's. The findings are well supported and may have uncovered an important link to the neurological disorder, an outside expert told Gizmodo. The study researchers have performed detailed and well-designed studies to investigate how low lithium levels are associated with Alzheimer's at the diagnostic protein, cellular, and gene levels, according to Timothy Chang, a neurologist at the University of California, Los Angeles, who's not involved with the study. Chang's also director of the California Alzheimer's Disease Center at UCLA. With the help of existing projects that collected post-mortem tissue samples, they compared levels of around 30 metals in the brains of people who died along varying stages of cognitive health. The only major difference they found was lithium. People with cognitively healthy brains had relatively high levels of lithium, whereas those with Alzheimer's had much lower levels. Importantly, this loss of lithium was apparent even in people who only experienced mild memory problems before dying. Interesting. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Technology Today. Alternative carbon carrier technology could improve both oil production and carbon storage. A new method for enhanced oil recovery proposed by researchers at the University of Texas at Austin is showing promising results in modeling studies, producing more oil, storing more carbon, and doing so more safely than conventional enhanced oil recovery methods. The article is by the University of Texas at Austin. It's published over at techexplore.com, but it's edited and reviewed by Stephanie Baum and Robert Egan, respectively. And let me do something real quick. Okay, so the trifecta of benefits stems from alternative carbon carrier technology research being led at UT. Alternative carbon carriers are chemical compounds specifically engineered to store larger quantities of carbon molecules in subsurface formations. When these compounds are synthesized from carbon dioxide, it can help optimize the transportation, utilization, and storage of this greenhouse gas. In a study that applied the technology to enhance oil recovery scenarios, researchers at the UT Jackson School of Geosciences and Cockrell School of Engineering found that the new carbon carrier method recovered up to 19.5% more oil and stored 17.5 more carbon than conventional enhanced oil recovery methods. It says basically the technique is to maximize oil recovery while also increasing the amount and security of carbon storage. But they don't really say how. Yeah, they just say it's shows promising results in modeling studies. Does it say where it is? Formate is a carbon-based molecule that can be synthesized from CO2 gas. It's more readily stored in the rock pores than a comparable quantity of CO2 gas in the same conditions, according to Okuno. So really what this is they're changing the form of CO2 into a formate species like sodium formate or potassium formate. And frankly, it's just bigger and getting stuck in the rock. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Across the board, the study shows promise resulting for EOR with carbon carriers. However, making it a reality for industry to refine and develop further will require more steps, says Okuno. For one, formate is not yet being produced from CO2 in the quantities needed to sustain EOR. Okay. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Technology Today as well. This is the little bit that we aggregate. This tiny brain grown in a lab could revolutionize mental health research. Johns Hopkins researchers grew a mini human brain with connected regions. Oh, interesting. Okay. Researchers at Johns Hopkins University have developed a groundbreaking lab-grown brain model that includes both neural tissue and early-stage blood vessels. So soon enough, we're going to be growing a brain that we can attach to our AI so that it become a artificial general intelligence. Johns Hopkins University put the article together. It's posted over at SciTech Daily. And essentially, researchers at Johns Hopkins University have developed a groundbreaking lab-grown brain model. This innovative whole brain organoid could help open up paths for understanding complex mental health conditions like autism. They say that they've made the next generation of brain organoids. At what point is a brain sentient? It's just not big enough to communicate, but maybe it can communicate. I don't know. Most brain organoids that you see in papers have one brain region like the cortex or the hindbrain or midbrain. They've grown a rudimentary whole brain organoid that they call the multi-region brain organoid, or Mr. Bow. I'm going to call it Mr. Bow from now on. Published in Advanced Science, the study is among the first to demonstrate a lab-created brain model that incorporates tissue from multiple brain regions working together. The human cell-based model offers a promising alternative to traditional animal research and could provide new insights into conditions like schizophrenia. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Technology Today. Theoretical particle physicists tackle on machine learning's black box. From self-driving cars to facial recognition, modern life is growing more dependent on machine learning, a type of artificial intelligence that learns from data sets without explicit programming. Lisa Potter from University of Utah put the article together. Lisa Locke and Robert Egan edited and reviewed it, respectively. It's published over at techexplore.com. There is no deck statement, but it says, despite its omnipresence in society, we're just beginning to understand the mechanisms driving the technology. In a recent study, Shang Kang, aka Kevin Shang, assistant professor at the University of Utah's Department of Physics and Astronomy, demonstrated how physicists can play an important role in unraveling its mysteries. Quote, people are used to say machine learning is a black box. You input a lot of data, and at some point, it reasons and speaks and makes decisions like humans do. They said here in this article, it feels like magic because we don't really know how it works, says Shang. Now, we're using AI across many critical sectors of society. We have to understand what our machine learning models are actually doing, or really doing. This is a quote, by the way. Why something works or why something doesn't work, and I agree. The traditional way to program a computer is with detailed instructions for completing a task. Say you wanted software that can spot irregularities in a CT scan, a programmer would have to write step-by-step protocols for countless potential scenarios. But a machine learning system can actually take a bunch of images, and if anything shows a positive because it's been flagged with the training elements that this is a positive because of this, that, and the other, machine learning can automatically start scanning stuff and go, yeah, that is a positive or that is a negative, or what the percentage of risk is. So the machine learning model looks simple. Input data, black box of computing, output what's that's the function of it, right? So being trained as a physicist, they would like to understand better. In a new paper published in the journal Machine Learning, Science and Technology, Shang solved a proposed model's scaling laws, which describe how the system will perform at larger and larger scales. It says it's not easy. The calculations require adding up to an infinite number of terms. Shang said they applied a method that physicists use to track hundreds of thousands of terms called Feynman diagrams. Richard Feynman invented the technique in the 1940s to deal with hopelessly complicated calculations of elementary particles in the quantum realm. Instead of writing down algebraic equations, Feynman drew simple diagrams. Every line and vertex in the diagram represents a value. So they published a paper. In that paper, the physicists studied their model in a particular limit. Shang was able to solve the model beyond that limit, obtaining new and more precise scaling laws that govern its behavior. And our last article for today's Technology Today is parasitic worms could help save Chesapeake Bay's blue crab fishery. Parasitic worms on blue crab eggs may reveal a crab's spawning history. Their resilience and varied salinities make them promising for fishery monitoring. Parasitic worms that feed on crab eggs may seem unsettling, but for blue crabs in the Chesapeake Bay, they are a common part of life. John Wallace, Virginia Institute of Marine Science, put the article together. It's published over at SciTech Daily. So the latest winter dredge survey conducted by the Batten School of Coastal and Marine Scientists and VIMS in partnership with the Maryland Department of Natural Resources revealed record low blue crab numbers in the bay. These results have raised concerns among fishery stakeholders and underscore the urgent need for innovative tools to support both ecological sustainability and economic viability, an area where this research may prove valuable. Other species of carcinonemerts cannot survive in salinity below 20 parts per thousand, which is a common occurrence in the bay's tributaries and during high precipitation events. We found this worm to be much tougher than other species. So for the study, Schneider partnered with William and Mary undergraduate Alex Pomeroy, the lead author. Under the guidance of Professor Jeffrey Shields, the team collected worms from blue crabs and exposed them to a broad range of salinity conditions. The results showed that worms performed well in moderate to high salinity levels, 20 to 30 parts per thousand. Surprisingly, they were also able to adapt and persist in salinity of 10 parts and could survive and recover after brief exposure up to 39 hours to salinity levels as low as 5 PSU. So parts per thousand. So the implications for the fishery management is that blue crabs hold significant value for both commercial and recreational species in Chesapeake Bay. Female crab have never spawned are classified as primiparous, while those who have produced multiple clutches have referred to as multiparous. Research conducted by Schneider and colleagues at the Batten School found that female blue crabs generate the largest number of offspring in their first clutch, with reproductive potential, or fecundity, decreasing in later clutches. So their work also revealed that all crabs spawning in June were primiparous, whereas most individuals spawning later in the season were multiparous. So the information helps managers understand the impacts of commercial and recreational harvest on spawning demographics and overall composition of the population before spawning season. So they basically are talking about the salinity tolerance, hyposaline, stress recovery, and survival of the nemertine worm, Carcinomertes carcinophila, in relation to its host, the Atlantic blue crab, Calanectis sapidus, I guess is how it's pronounced. All right, let's just call it a day for Technology Today. And we're going to go on to FourWheelTech, which is the last of our 6 shows that should have been done on the weekend, but I did not. So stay tuned. We'll see you in a little bit. Hello, everybody, and welcome to FourWheelTech. I am MayorWatt. I run ohmTown.com. And today we are talking about automobiles at FourWheelTech. It's a news aggregation channel over at ohmTown, which is a site that aggregates news across 50 different major topics. And today we're going to be talking about, today's episode is August 17th, 2025. It's season 2, episode 33. Today we're going to be talking about a classic car auction, an Acura RSX prototype, Velocity EV concept, Hyundai Tucson N, and a 1967 tuk-tuk that I might be driving around the mayoral mansion. That and a little bit of snark. Maybe we're going to do this pretty fast because it's a time machine episode, but I'm not going to stop the stream. Let's get going. From Vespas to Volkswagens, this classic car auction has something for everyone. Mecum is putting 295 cars up. It says under the hammer on September 20th and 21st. Matthew DeBoard over at jalopnik.com put the article together. The Drive reports that the collection belonged to Larry Claremont, a Chicago property magnate who died in 2021. The museum presented an opportunity for the public to check out some pretty fantastic sheet metal, they say, including replicas of the Batmobile from '89's film Back to the Future DeLorean, complete with a fog machine. Personally, they'd like to bid on the 1969 Carmen Ghia convertible, boasting a groovy 3-speed auto stick, no clutch transmission, and a 1.5-liter air-cooled flat 4 that, according to their research, cranked out a whopping 53 horsepower. Then you can get an old Vespa. It's pretty cool. The Larry's Legacy auction includes 5 Vespas from 1960s as well as a gaggle from the single year of 1984, apparently a favorite for Claremont. And he didn't just dig two-wheeled Vespas. The auction has a 1957 Vespa 400 Coupe, which was actually made in France and, believe it or not, imported to the US in the late 1950s. There's 11 Cadillacs. A no reserve auction is a 1899 mobile steamer roadster that did indeed run on steam and was acquired by the museum in 2024. A horse-drawn hearse, dates to 1844, they say. Anyway, got a lot of cars in this article getting discussed. More serious gearheads, they say, might be drawn to the 1969 Ford Mustang Mach 1 Fastback, an unrestored example, or a 1954 Corvette that was restored to the tune of $100,000. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, it's open to the public the weekend of September 13th and 14th. More than 1,000 pieces of signage and other types of road art will be on the block, and that the museum will host a preview. Go and check it all out. All right, let's keep going. Pedal to the metal, so to speak. The next article is over in FourWheelTech as well. Acura RSX prototype is a close look at the sporty electric SUV. Sometimes I feel like I'm not actually doing anything right in the recording. I'm kind of spooked. So somebody tell me that this recording is actually sounding all right. So FourWheelTech is where this next article is. Acura RSX prototype is a close look at the sporty electric SUV that will be made in Ohio starting next year. It's basically 98% of the production RSX design will look like. Just add on real side mirrors, and a slight tweak to the diffuser and front bumper. This is what it's going to look like. Acura RSX prototype. Daniel Golson over at jalopnik.com put the article together. Initially previewed by the Performance EV concept, that debuted in Monterey Car Week last year. At this year's Car Week that's currently underway, Acura just revealed the RSX prototype. In Honda parlance, that means what you see here is basically 98% of what the production RSX design will look like. This is sporty as hell. I want this. Anyway, Acura hasn't given any dimensions, but it seems to be about the same length as a CR-V. For reference, the wheels are 21 inches, while the production car teaser below is on 20s. It has a dramatically sloping coupe, but it's a 4-door roofline that works quite well. Fairly short front and rear overhangs, a shark-like nose. The tires are out to the edge, except for in the front, they're out to the very far corners. The The back wheels, though, have a little bit of junk in their trunk. It looks like a more sporty Mazda. Yeah, I mean, or one of the Range Rovers, the kind of crossover SUV. So pretty cool looking. As Honda talked about, with its 0 Series prototypes, the new platform will have a focus on lightness and thinness, both in terms of actual mass and visual mass, unlike other current EVs, where you can obviously tell that there's a big fat battery in there. The RSX doesn't carry a lot of visual mass in its lower midsection. It actually, I think this little undercut makes it look more wasp-like, it's kind of tighter. This is actually a design aesthetic that I included in kind of 90% enclosed recumbent motorcycle that I had designed back some 30 years ago. Obviously, it never hit the market, but there's a lot of issues with recumbent motorcycles. Anyway, Acura, I heard all of you whining about how you don't want EVs that have fake grills. So the RSX front end doesn't even attempt to mimic an internal combustion vehicle. It just has probably just a cooler that runs runs air across the battery pack. The RSX prototype windows are all blacked out, as this is just a rolling model with no interior. They say we really don't know what to expect from RSX's cabin, but hopefully it'll introduce a new interior design language. Acura does say that the RSX will also use the Osmo OS infotainment system that debuted at CES earlier this year. It says it's going to be built in Ohio starting next year. That looks really good. My God, how much is this thing? Acura says the RSX will go on sale in the second half of 2026, so expect the production car to debut a few months beforehand. The company's investing over $1 billion to make the plant ready to accept next-gen EVs alongside new hybrids and internal combustion vehicles. Yeah, I hope that this thing isn't astronomically expensive, but it's an RSX, so probably something that I can't justify buying. So it just doesn't seem likely that someone will put off from buying the new RSX because of its name and their memories of the original. But it's an EV, so. But I want a hybrid. What I want is a extended range EV, so it has a gas engine and electric motors in it. So we'll see. Keep an eye out for this. It is one sexy looking car. So the next article over in FourWheelTech is high-tech Cadillac elevated velocity EV concept is inspired by Desert Polo, which is a real sport apparently. According to the article over at jalopnik.com, Aaron Marquis put the article together. This thing looks like a crossbow kind of a thing. Pretty wild. Cadillac has revealed a string of beautiful, powerful concepts over the last few years, and now it's bringing a Dakar-inspired, high-performance crossover EV to the sunlit shores of Monterey Bay. This thing looks like it's out of a sci-fi movie. My God. Oh, this is all like color-coordinated polo equipment. Has like a whip and glasses and a helmet and gloves. And what are these? Is this the ball? I don't know. Gullwing doors. Opulent velocity concept from last year. Also highlights where the Cadillac design will likely head in the future. The body shape of the concept is pretty obviously inspired by rallying and Dakar. And while not the car, it's Dakar. While the exterior is graceful and intricate, it hardly hints at the wildly inventive and luxury of the interior hiding beneath all that fiberglass. In fact, that's how Cadillac came up with the name. It's elevated in physical size thanks to an air suspension and 24-inch wheels, and elevated in terms of luxury thanks to its opulent color-drenched interior. The velocity part of the name comes from its daring off-road performance. This thing looks like just a beast. It looks like a bird of prey from Star Trek. The car itself is painted in an icy vapor blue paint with blue tinged glass in the windshield and side windows, which really sets off a dark morello and garnet red interior. The lifted luxury crossover comes with 24-inch tires, perfect for playing in the sand or driving down a highway. Yeah, this thing is never going to see any dirt. These seats are wild. This has to be a concept because this would never pass muster. In elevate mode, the Velocity becomes something of a recovery center for its occupants. where Cadillac would take over the driving via a level 4 automated driving program. Remember, this is a future vehicle from the future, while the car monitors the exterior temperature versus interior temperature versus the actual body temperature of the driver and adjusts the climate control accordingly. All the others in the vehicle have to suffer. Anyway, it says it shakes off dirt. When in velocity mode, all of the car's attention is on the driver and their cockpit. That soothing soft white light that initially greeted the driver dims, allowing whoever is in the pilot seat to focus on the task at hand. This concept is completely drivable, according to Cadillac, though it's unclear what sort of powertrain it uses and whether the concept's selectable drive modes and cool functions actually work. So how much is this thing going to cost? You have to ask the price. You can't afford it. Let's move on, though, to the Hyundai Tucson N, reportedly in the works with a 300 horsepower hybrid powertrain. They've shaken up the performance car world since it introduced the spicy Veloster N in 2019, and its future is looking bright. Jalopnik again put the article together. It's over at Logan K. It's over at jalopnik.com, but it's written by Logan K. Carter. As a refresher, Hyundai's N division was spearheaded by Albert Biermann, the former head of BMW's M division. Now they're in the N division. I guess they're moving down the alphabet. For the E39 BMW M5, the E46 BMW M3, and the Skunkworks BMW 1 Series M. He retired in 2021, but remains an executive technical advisor to Hyundai's performance division. So the car is all draped out with things that mask its design aesthetic, but I think you can extrapolate from the various elements of it. 300 horsepower Tucson N hybrid may end up receiving a new version of Hyundai's current 1.6 liter i4 inline 4, I guess, hybrid electric powertrain. And if Hyundai's other N models are any indication, it'll be a game changer in the compact crossover space. The yet to be revealed 2027 Hyundai Tucson has been caught in pre-production camo, but its design hasn't officially been revealed as of yet. Dun dun dun. We'll see. We'll talk about it here. And our last article is about a $7,000 tuk-tuk from 1967 that you can't possibly duck this jaunty 1967 tuk-tuk, says the article. It's a 1967 Daihatsu tuk-tuk taxi that they're considering today. Was once a common sight in the cities across much of Southeast Asia. The article is over at Jalopnik. Rob Emsley put the article together. This is a pretty cool tuk-tuk. It's a taxi, but it's a three-wheel taxi, which has a central driver in the front and then passengers in the back. And says most people like to arrive in style, make an entrance. After all, unless dealing with an amnesiac, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. For owners of Ford Mustangs, however, it's often not the entrance, but the exit that leaves a lasting impression. Take the tuk-tuk goose. So the 1967 Daihatsu tuk-tuk taxi that they're considering today was a common sight. If you wanted to restore it, doesn't look like it's too far off from restorability. You'd have to kind of clean and powder coat everything again, but classified as auto rickshaws, these are more familiarly known as tuk-tuks, which is an onomatopoeic taken from the sound made by their two-stroke engines. Words are hard. Anyway, the driver sits astride the engine, and there's room for two adults or multiple kids in the passenger seat in the back. The little 356cc 2-liter motor is mated to a manual gearbox, and that does offer reverse along with its forward gears. While popular in places like Thailand, this is, as the seller rightfully points out, incredibly rare in places like Texas. But nobody cares that it's in Texas, really. You can go and check it out. It's over at jalopnik.com, and it says here that it's the seller seems to realize this discrepancy, that this one weird offering here in the States, and especially in Texas, where everything from hats and belt buckles to pick-em-up trucks is bigger than average. The seller seems to realize the discrepancy, suggesting that it rightfully should be in a museum or on display at a Thai restaurant. Regardless of the final disposition, the asking price to get it is $7,000. Anyway, that is it for today's FourWheelTech, as well as all 6 of the weekend shows. I hope that you enjoyed this kind of real-time production of Non Sequitur News Saturday and Sunday. And we will return you to the always on live stream of the last 2 weeks. And these will be added to that shortly. So stick around. Thank you very much. And we'll see you in a little bit. Bye-bye.